Hey there. So today, got a quick little video for you. I'm going to talk about baselines and benchmarks. And I'm going to talk about them in two different contexts, okay? So if you are studying for some type of exam, you've probably come across the term baseline and benchmarks. But if you're, Googling around or you're looking in different books, you might suddenly be getting confused because in one context, baselining seems to mean one thing and benchmarking means something else. But in a different concept, they kind of overlap and flip back around, and it's kind of weird. So this video is going to get those straight for you so that you understand what the heck is going on, depending on who you're talking to, about what they mean by baseline or benchmark. Alrighty, so let's start with myself. I'm an IT guy, and when I think about baselines, I'm thinking about what is normal. So we think about, what is our system performance supposed to be like? Well, we have a baseline so we know what normal is, what it should be, generally be in most circumstances. When we look at future measurements, those are benchmarks, and we take those and we look at them and compare them to our baseline to know what the differences are. So in an IT context, baselines mean normal behavior, and benchmarks are what we are comparing back to the normal behavior. Now, if you're suddenly talking to a business person or someone more business oriented, and they start talking about baselines and benchmarking, they are going to maybe confuse you a little bit if you don't know where they're coming from and what they're trying to communicate to you. In the business world, baselining is taking some key performance indicator that you have, some measure that you have, and comparing it to how you're doing internally, right? So that's different than it is in the IT context. Basically, you want to take something that you're doing and looking at how you're doing on it internally. Benchmarking in a business context is when you take that key performance indicator that you're doing and you compare it externally. And that might be to, the industry in general or some niche group of other companies. But baselining is basically internal comparisons and benchmarking are external comparisons. So depending on who you're talking to, that could become confusing. And if you're taking an exam that kind of covers IT and business, if they kind of overlap, you might not be clear what they're talking about at different times. So you really gotta know what it is you're talking about in the context of an exam. In the real world, of course, you can always ask a clarifying question. But on an exam, you're not going to be able to do that. So it's important to know the different contexts, right? Depending on who you're talking to and what they mean. And now you know what the difference is. So take this knowledge and hopefully do something useful with it. Alrighty, have yourself a great weekend. Bye-bye.